Captain Samantha Wright stared at the small blue planet Earth through the view screen of her ship, the EDF Horizon. The outer solar system patrol had been quiet for the past 3 weeks. Too quiet. She brushed a strand of blonde hair from her face and turned to her communications officer. "Anything on the long-range scanners, Linda?" Lieutenant Linda Brown shook her head. "Nothing yet, Captain." "Wait." Her console lit up with a series of flashing alerts. "Captain, I'm picking up a signal. It's not one of ours." Samantha straightened in her chair. "Source? Unknown, ma'am. It's not coming from any direction that makes sense. It's just everywhere at once." The main screen flickered, and the image of Earth disappeared. In its place appeared a tall, slender figure with blue skin that seemed to shimmer like the surface of an ocean. Its eyes were large, black, and without pupils. "I am Archspeaker Zorvan of the Galactic Council," the alien said in perfect English. "This message is for the leaders of humanity." Samantha exchanged worried glances with her crew. The Galactic Council rarely contacted individual worlds directly. In the 50 years since humans had ventured beyond their solar system, the Council had maintained a distant, almost disinterested relationship with Earth. "I will relay your message to Earth Command immediately," Samantha said, trying to keep her voice steady. Zorvan continued as if he hadn't heard her. "The Council has observed humanity's expansion with growing concern. Your species has established colonies on 17 worlds in just 5 decades. Your military vessels now patrol regions of space far beyond your home system." The alien's face showed no emotion, but his voice carried a note of displeasure that made Samantha's skin crawl. "The Council has deliberated and reached an unanimous decision. Humanity's rapid expansion and militaristic tendencies present an unacceptable risk to galactic stability." Linda gasped softly. The navigator, Paul Wilson, muttered something under his breath. "Therefore, the Council issues this final warning. Humanity will dismantle 80% of its defense fleet. All colonies beyond your home system will be abandoned. Council observers will be stationed on Earth and remaining human worlds to ensure compliance." Samantha felt her hands grip the arms of her chair tightly. "Archspeaker, surely we can discuss. You have 1 standard galactic month to begin compliance. There will be no negotiation." The blue-skinned alien leaned closer to whatever recording device was capturing his image. "This is not the first warning your kind has received. It is, however, the last." The screen went dark for a moment, then returned to the peaceful view of distant Earth. The bridge was silent. 5 humans stared at each other, the weight of what they had just heard settling over them like a heavy blanket. "Send the recording to Admiral Hayes," Samantha finally said. "Priority 1. Encrypted at the highest level." "Yes, Captain," Linda replied, her fingers moving quickly over her console. 6 hours later, the Horizon entered Earth orbit. Samantha had been summoned directly to Earth Command Headquarters in what used to be Geneva, Switzerland. Admiral John Hayes was waiting for her. His weathered face looked older than his 60 years as he watched the recording for the 3rd time. "What do you make of it, Captain Wright?" he asked when the screen went dark. "It's a threat, sir." The thinly veiled one. Hayes nodded. "And what would you do if you were in my position?" Samantha considered the question carefully. "I wouldn't give in, sir. But I also wouldn't rush into a fight we might not be able to win." The Admiral's lips curved into a small smile. "That's why I like you, Wright. Good head on your shoulders." He stood up and walked to the window overlooking the gleaming buildings of New Geneva. "I'm assembling a response team. The best minds we have." "What will you tell the public, sir?" "Nothing for now." Hayes turned back to face her. "Return to your ship, Captain. Prepare your crew. I have a feeling the Horizon will play an important role in whatever comes next." As Samantha left the Admiral's office, she couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had just been backed into a corner. And if there was one thing she knew about her species from studying history, it was that humans were never more dangerous than when they had nowhere to run. 3 days after the Galactic Council's message, 5 people sat around a large table in a secure room deep beneath New Geneva. Admiral Hayes stood at the head of the table, his face grim. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," he said. "You know why you're here. The fate of humanity may rest on what we decide in this room." Dr. Patricia Miller adjusted her glasses. At 65, she was Earth's foremost expert on alien civilizations. "I studied the Council for 30 years, she said. "They've never made such a direct threat against us before." General Richard Campbell, a tall man with a scar across his left cheek, frowned. "They're testing us, seeing if we'll roll over. Or they're deadly serious," said Ambassador Kevin Wright. He glanced at his daughter Samantha, who sat quietly at the other end of the table. "The Council controls over 200 star systems. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours." "But why now?" asked Dr. Alan Foster, tapping his fingers on a tablet. The military strategist had barely slept since getting Hayes' call. "Our expansion hasn't changed pace in the last decade." Lieutenant Grace Martinez, the youngest person in the room, spoke up. "I think I found something." She projected a star map onto the wall. 3 civilizations reached our current level of development in the past century. All received warnings from the Council. All disappeared within 5 years. Silence fell over the room. "Are you saying the Council wiped them out?" Samantha asked. Dr. Miller nodded slowly. "The Centauri traders mentioned rumors about the Palaxians. They were developing quickly, then suddenly, gone. The Council claimed they destroyed themselves in a civil war. And we're supposed to believe that happened to all 3. Campbell's voice was heavy with doubt. "I think the Council eliminates potential rivals once they reach a certain point," Dr. Miller said. "They don't want competition." Ambassador Wright sighed. "So what do we do? Fight a war we can't win, or surrender our colonies and fleet?" "Neither," said Admiral Hayes. "We find a third option." For the next 12 hours, they debated strategies. Plans were proposed and discarded. Tempers flared as the reality of their situation sank in. It was nearly midnight when Lieutenant Martinez spoke up again. "What if we appear to comply while secretly preparing?" Dr. Foster looked up from his notes. "Go on. We ask for more time. Say we need 6 months to coordinate the withdrawal from our colonies. Meanwhile, we accelerate the Frost Protocol." "The Frost Protocol is still theoretical," Campbell objected. "We've barely begun testing the prototypes." "But it's our best chance," Martinez insisted. "If it works, we could disable their ships without destroying them. Show strength without starting a war." Samantha leaned forward. "What about the abandoned research station at Epsilon Eridani? It has the equipment needed for large-scale production of the necessary components." Hayes nodded slowly. "If we keep the Council's observers focused on our main fleet movements, they might not notice what we're doing elsewhere." Ambassador Wright finished. "It's risky, but it could work." "We'll need to evacuate the outer colonies regardless," Dr. Miller cautioned. "The Council will expect to see that happening." "Or appear to evacuate them," Campbell suggested. "Replace civilians with military personnel disguised as evacuees." Admiral Hayes looked around the table. "This will require perfect coordination. If the Council suspects what we're doing, they'll strike immediately," Ambassador Wright said. "And humanity will join those other 3 species in the history books." Samantha stood up. "I volunteer to lead the mission to Epsilon Eridani. The horizon can slip past the Council's patrols if we modify our engine signature." Hayes considered this for a moment, then nodded. "Very well. We'll call this Operation Cold Shoulder. We give them a polite response while preparing our real answer." He looked each person in the eye. "This stays in this room. Not even your closest family can know." As they filed out, Dr. Miller caught up with Samantha in the hallway. "Captain, when you get to Epsilon Eridani, look for more than just the research station. Something's not right about all this. The Council is too worried about us specifically." "What do you mean?" "I studied thousands of species. None scare the Council like humans do. I want to know why." Ambassador Kevin Wright stood before the holographic image of Archspeaker Zorvan. He kept his face calm despite the worry churning in his stomach. "The people of Earth thank the Galactic Council for their concern," he said. "However, dismantling our defense fleet and abandoning our colonies will take time. We request a 6-month extension to properly coordinate these efforts." The blue-skinned alien's face showed no reaction. "Your species procrastinates, Ambassador Wright." "Not at all. We simply wish to comply in an orderly fashion. Rushing could lead to chaos, perhaps even loss of life." After a long pause, Zorvan nodded. "The Council grants your extension, but we will send observer ships to monitor your progress." The transmission ended, and Ambassador Wright let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Admiral Hayes stepped out from behind the camera. "Well done," Hayes said. "That buys us the time we need. Let's hope it's enough." Across the solar system, Operation Cold Shoulder was already in motion. On Mars, civilian ships departed daily, supposedly carrying colonists back to Earth. In reality, most ships were nearly empty, creating the illusion of a mass evacuation. In Earth orbit, military vessels publicly powered down their weapons systems. Crews made a show of removing key components. Council observers documented everything, seemingly satisfied with humanity's compliance. Meanwhile, deep within the asteroid belt, Lieutenant Grace Martinez floated in zero gravity beside a massive metal sphere. Her team worked silently, installing delicate components into what looked like an ordinary mining platform. "Power test complete," a technician reported. "Field generator online." Martinez nodded. "Good. 1 down, 999 to go." The Frost Protocol called for a network of 1,000 stealth platforms scattered throughout the solar system. Each could generate a field that disrupted faster than light travel and communications. Alone, one platform could barely affect a small area. Together, they could trap any invading fleet. On Earth, Dr. Foster dug through historical archives. He found scattered reports dating back centuries. Strange lights in the sky, unexplained technological leaps, artifacts that defied explanation. Patterns emerged suggesting humanity might have encountered Council scouts long before official first contact. "They'd been watching us for much longer than we thought," he told Admiral Hayes during their secure weekly meeting, "and something about us worried them even then." Hayes frowned. "Find out what it is. That knowledge might save us all." The EDF horizon approached Epsilon Eridani under complete communications blackout. Captain Samantha Wright had modified the ship's engine signature to match a common trading vessel. They traveled slowly, taking 3 weeks to reach their destination. "There it is," Samantha said as they approached the 4th planet in the system. The abandoned research station. The facility had been built 15 years earlier, but was shut down due to budget cuts. At least that was the official story. Samantha had always suspected there was more to it. Her crew worked quickly to restart the station's power systems. The manufacturing facilities came online one by one. "Begin production of the field generator components," Samantha ordered. "We need to complete as many as possible before returning to Earth." While her engineers worked, Samantha explored the station's database. Most files were corrupted or deleted, but a few remained intact. One caught her attention. A report about an unusual structure discovered on the far side of the planet. "Lisa, Ben, you're with me," she said, grabbing her exploration gear. "We're taking a shuttle to check something out." 3 hours later, they stood before a massive door embedded in the side of a mountain. The material wasn't rock or metal. It seemed to swallow light, appearing as a perfect black rectangle against the dusty landscape. "What is this place?" Lisa asked, running her scanner over the surface. "I don't know," Samantha replied. "But according to the station logs, it was here long before humans arrived in this system." Ben pointed to markings near the edge of the door. "Those symbols, they look similar to the ones on that Council ship we examined last year." Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. "You're right. This isn't just some random alien ruin." She activated her communicator. "We need to get inside." This might be what Dr. Miller was talking about, the reason the Council fears us so much. The door had remained sealed for countless years, but humanity was about to uncover its secrets, and with them, perhaps their only hope for survival. The strange door at Epsilon Eridani remained closed for 3 days. Samantha's team tried every tool and technique they had, but nothing worked. Then on the 4th morning, Lisa noticed something. "Captain, look at these markings," she said, pointing to symbols near the bottom of the door. They change color when exposed to heat. Ben aimed a thermal scanner at the symbols. As they warmed, the markings shifted from black to a deep blue. With a low rumble, the massive door began to slide open. "Stay alert," Samantha ordered as they stepped inside, weapons ready. The interior was a single vast chamber. Soft blue lights activated as they entered, revealing walls covered with information displays. In the center stood a pedestal with what looked like a data storage device. "It's some kind of archive," Lisa said, examining the nearest display. "These are star charts, hundreds of them." Samantha approached the central pedestal. "This technology is far more advanced than anything the Council has shown us." She carefully removed the storage device and connected it to her tablet. "Let's see what secrets you hold." The data download took hours. When it finished, Samantha's face had grown pale. "We need to get this back to Earth immediately," she said. "This changes everything." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Martinez continued her work in the asteroid belt. Council observer ships regularly patrolled the main shipping lanes, but they rarely ventured into the denser parts of the belt where visibility was poor and navigation dangerous. "Platform number 512 is online," reported a technician. Martinez nodded. "We're ahead of schedule." "The Council seems to have no idea what we're doing right under their noses." Her second-in-command looked concerned. "What if they detect the energy signatures?" "That's why we're only activating each platform for testing, then immediately shutting it down," Martinez explained. "When the time comes, they'll all power up simultaneously." On Earth, Dr. Foster made a startling discovery in the historical archives. He brought his findings directly to Admiral Hayes. "Look at these," Foster said, spreading old photographs on the table. "Cave paintings from France, 15,000 years old. Egyptian hieroglyphs from 3000 BC, Mayan carvings, medieval manuscripts. Each image showed similar symbols to those found on Council ships." Hayes studied the images. "What are you saying?" "They've been here before. Many times, but something kept driving them away." Foster pointed to another set of images showing humanoid figures standing against what appeared to be invaders. "Us, humans, we fought them off repeatedly throughout our history. That's why they fear us," Hayes realized. "We're the only species that has successfully resisted them. Again and again." "Exactly. And each time, we adapted and grew stronger." In space, the evacuation of Earth's colonies continued. Transport ships arrived daily, but instead of carrying civilians, many secretly delivered military personnel and supplies to hidden locations. Ambassador Wright maintained constant diplomatic contact with the Council, feeding them carefully crafted misinformation. In one transmission, he accidentally revealed plans to dismantle defense systems on Jupiter's moons, precisely where humanity had no actual defensive capabilities. Council ships quickly moved to verify this information, drawing their attention away from Mars, where the real work was happening. Inside his private office, Ambassador Wright received an encrypted message from his daughter. He read it twice, then immediately contacted Admiral Hayes. "Samantha found something at Epsilon Eridani," he said. "An archive created by species that previously resisted the Council." "What happened to them?" Hayes asked. "They were destroyed, but they left detailed records of Council tactics, technology, and weaknesses." Hayes leaned forward. "And the Council isn't just afraid of humanity's potential. They're afraid of our past." Wright's voice grew quiet. "According to these records, humans share genetic markers with an ancient species that nearly defeated the Council 10,000 years ago. They believe we're their descendants. Hayes was silent for a long moment. So this isn't just about preventing competition. It's revenge. And fear, Wright added. They're terrified of what we might become if we discover our true heritage. Then perhaps, Hayes said, it's time they were reminded why they fear us. 4 months had passed since the Council's warning. On the surface, humanity appeared to be complying with their demands. 53% of the outer colonies had been evacuated. 37% of Earth's visible military fleet had been dismantled. Council observers sent regular reports to Archspeaker Zorvan, all indicating that humans were following orders, if somewhat slowly. But Zorvan was not convinced. They are hiding something, he told the Council's inner circle during an emergency meeting. The humans showed too little resistance. It is not in their nature to surrender so easily. Perhaps they truly understand their position, suggested another council member. They know they cannot win against our superior forces. No, Zorvan insisted. I have studied their history. When cornered, humans become more dangerous, not less. He gestured to a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. I am sending additional ships to monitor their activities more closely. Within days, 5 large council vessels entered the solar system. They presented themselves as diplomatic envoys, bringing cultural exchange opportunities. In reality, they carried advanced scanning equipment designed to penetrate Earth's security measures. Dr. Patricia Miller noticed the change immediately. These aren't normal diplomatic ships, she told Admiral Hayes after analyzing their design. Look at these sensor arrays. They're surveillance vessels. Hayes frowned. They're getting suspicious. How much longer until we're ready? Lieutenant Martinez reports that 800 platforms are operational. Captain Wright is on her way back from Epsilon Eridani with the archive data. We need at least 2 more weeks. We may not have that much time, Hayes said grimly. In the maintenance section of Earth Command, a worker named Frank Rogers finished his shift and headed toward the restricted communications center. Rogers had worked at the facility for 3 years and had built a reputation as a reliable, if quiet, employee. No one questioned his presence as he used his security clearance to enter areas just outside his normal work zone. Inside a supply closet, Rogers removed a small device from his pocket and placed it against the wall. The device emitted a soft pulse that temporarily disabled the nearest security sensors. Rogers then removed a panel from the wall, revealing a bundle of data cables. He attached a second device to these cables and waited as it began copying information. What Rogers didn't know was that Lieutenant Martinez had implemented a new security protocol just days earlier. Any unauthorized access to the data network triggered a silent alarm, not in the security office, but directly to Martinez's personal tablet. Martinez was in the cafeteria when the alert came through. She immediately notified a security team, then casually walked toward the location indicated on her screen. As she rounded the corner, she saw Rogers replacing the wall panel. Funny, I don't remember authorizing maintenance in this section. Martinez stepped closer. Why don't we discuss this in security? Rogers moved with unexpected speed. He shoved Martinez aside and sprinted down the corridor, but Martinez had not come alone. 2 security officers appeared at the far end of the hallway, weapons drawn. Trapped, Rogers reached for something in his pocket. Martinez fired first. Her stun round hit Rogers in the chest, and he collapsed to the floor. In the medical bay, Dr. Miller examined the unconscious maintenance worker. He's not human, she said, showing Hayes the scanner results. His internal structure has been modified to appear human on basic scans, but his DNA is Cyrillian, the same species as Archspeaker Zorvan. Hayes stared at the spy. How many more like him are there? Unknown. But this confirms our suspicions. The Council never intended to honor the 6-month extension. They'd been gathering intelligence for an attack. When Rogers regained consciousness, he found himself in a secure interrogation room. Ambassador Wright sat across from him. We know what you are, Wright said calmly. The only question is whether you'll cooperate or not. Rogers glared at him. You cannot stop what is coming. The Council has tolerated humanity's existence for too long. Why does the Council fear us so much? Wright asked. Rogers laughed, a cold sound with no humor in it. Because you are unpredictable. Other species follow logical patterns. We can calculate their responses, anticipate their development. But humans, he shook his head. Humans adapt in ways that defy prediction. You take technologies and use them in ways their creators never imagined. Your evolution accelerated faster than any species we have encountered. And that terrifies you, Wright said. It wasn't a question. It should terrify you too, Rogers replied. The Council fleet is already on its way. They will be here in 3 days. The EDF Horizon raced toward Earth, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. Captain Samantha Wright paced the bridge, checking the ship's estimated arrival time every few minutes. Engine core temperature rising, warned Lisa, the engineering officer. We can't maintain this speed much longer. We have to, Samantha replied. The Council fleet will reach Earth in less than 3 days. We need to get the archive data to Admiral Hayes before then. Ben looked up from his console. Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships ahead. Council warships, not the observer vessels. They've positioned themselves to intercept any approaching Earth ships. Samantha's mind raced. They don't know about us yet. Shut down all non-essential systems. We'll drift past them on our current trajectory. The horizon went dark except for life support and minimal navigation. The crew waited in tense silence as they passed within detection range of the Council ships. They're scanning the area, Ben whispered, but they're using standard protocols. They can't see us unless they know exactly what to look for. Minutes passed like hours until finally Ben smiled. We're clear. They didn't detect us. Samantha released her breath. Resume course to Earth, maximum speed. On Earth, Admiral Hayes called an emergency meeting of the response team. The Frost Protocol isn't ready. We have 850 platforms operational, but we need at least 900 for minimum coverage. Lieutenant Martinez shook her head. We can't build 50 more platforms in 3 days. It's impossible. Then we work with what we have, General Campbell said firmly. We position the platforms we've got in a tighter formation. It won't cover the whole system, but it will protect Earth and the inner planets. Dr. Foster nodded. According to the historical data, Council ships always attack in a standard formation. They'll come in close together to maximize their firepower. If we can trap their main fleet, we still need Samantha and the archive data. Dr. Miller reminded them. The ancient records may contain tactical information we can use. Outside the solar system, a massive Council fleet assembled. 27 warships, each carrying enough firepower to level a continent. Archspeaker Zorvin stood on the command deck of the flagship, watching as final preparations were made. The human deception is confirmed, he told his officers. They have been stalling while secretly relocating military assets. They will learn that defying the Council brings only destruction. What of the Council members who oppose this action? Asked a junior officer. Zorvin's face hardened. The inner circle has made its decision. The outer members need not know the details of how we maintain galactic peace. The fleet began its approach to Earth's solar system, dropping the pretense of diplomacy. Their weapons charged as they accelerated to attack speed. The horizon reached Earth just hours ahead of the Council fleet. Samantha rushed the archive data to Earth Command, where Dr. Miller and Dr. Foster immediately began analyzing it. This is incredible, Dr. Miller said as she studied the ancient records. The archive contains detailed specifications of Council ship designs. They've been using the same basic technology for thousands of years. Dr. Foster pointed to a schematic. Look at their communication systems. They operate on quantum entanglement principles, but there's a fundamental weakness. If we can broadcast on these exact frequencies with enough power, we could disrupt their entire command network, Hayes finished. Can we do it? Yes, Dr. Foster said. But we'd need to be close to their fleet, dangerously close. Admiral Hayes made his decision. Implement the Frost Protocol immediately. Position all available platforms to trap the Council fleet near Jupiter's orbit. That's where we'll make our stand. Throughout the solar system, human ships that had appeared to retreat now moved into hidden positions. The supposedly dismantled military vessels powered up their systems. On Earth, Hayes addressed the planetary defense forces. For years, we've been told we're just one species among many in this galaxy. Today we learn whether humanity deserves its place among the stars. The Council believes they can simply erase us because we don't fit their plans. They're about to discover how wrong they are. At the edge of the solar system, sensors detected the approaching Council fleet. The ships were moving fast, their weapons hot, their intentions clear. The final confrontation was about to begin. The Council fleet entered the solar system with overwhelming force. 27 warships moved in tight formation, their weapons primed and ready. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky, unaware that their fate hung in the balance. Admiral Hayes watched from the command center as the enemy ships approached Jupiter. Are the platforms in position? Lieutenant Martinez nodded. All 850 platforms are ready. They're running silent, undetectable until activated. And the broadcast system. Dr. Foster looked up from his console. Ready, sir. Captain Wright's ship is in position with the communication array. Once the Council fleet is inside the field, she can transmit the frequencies from the archive. Hayes took a deep breath. Wait until they're fully committed. We only get one chance at this. Arch-Speaker Zorvan stood proudly on his flagship's bridge. Victory seemed certain. Humans had put up no resistance so far, and his sensors detected no significant defense forces near Jupiter. They hide like cowards, he told his officers. Prepare to proceed to Earth after we secure this position. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Council fleet. Their faster-than-light drives began to fail as they entered an invisible energy field. What is happening? Zorvan demanded. Unknown energy field detected. An officer reported. Our drives are offline. Communications with the Council homeworld are disrupted. Zorvan's eyes widened in shock. Trap. Battle formation. But it was too late. The Frost Protocol had activated. 850 platforms simultaneously generated an energy field that locked the Council ships in normal space. Their advanced weapons, designed for faster-than-light combat, struggled to target at conventional speeds. From hidden positions around Jupiter's moons, Earth ships emerged. Not the 50% of the fleet the humans had supposedly kept, but a new type of vessel built in secret using technology adapted from the ancient archives. Captain Wright's voice came through the command center speakers. Frost Field is holding, Admiral. Council ships are trapped. Beginning transmission now. The Horizon activated its special communication array. It broadcast directly to the Council fleet on their secure frequencies, but also to every Council world simultaneously. The message bypassed the inner circle's filters, reaching all Council species at once. Attention all Council worlds, Ambassador Wright's voice announced. This is Earth. The inner circle of your Council has been systematically eliminating emerging civilizations for thousands of years. We are not the first they have tried to destroy. We have recovered archives from previous victims. The broadcast included data from the ancient archives, proof of the Council's crimes against dozens of species, images, records, testimonies, all streaming to every corner of the galaxy. On the Council worlds, confusion and outrage spread. Many members had never known the true nature of their leadership's actions. On his flagship, Zorvan watched in horror as his secret actions were exposed. Cut that transmission. We cannot, his communication officer replied. They are using our own network against us. Several Council ships broke formation, their captains uncertain whether to continue the attack. 3 vessels attempted to fire on Earth ships, but their weapons were met by defensive shields based on technology from the archives. Lieutenant Martinez coordinated the human response. Target their weapons only, she ordered. Show them we could destroy them, but choose not to. Precise strikes disabled the weapons on the attacking Council ships without destroying them. The remaining vessels held their fire, seeing the futility of their position. In the Earth Command Center, Dr. Miller monitored communications between Council ships. It's working, she told Hayes. Many of their worlds are demanding explanations from the Inner Circle. Some are calling for Zorvan's removal. Good, Hayes replied. But we're not done yet. Ambassador Wright prepared a second broadcast, humanity's true response to the Council's warning. As the message was about to transmit, General Campbell grabbed Hayes' arm. Look at this, he said, pointing to his screen. 3 more fleets of Council ships have changed course. They're heading this way. Reinforcements? Hayes asked, his hope fading. Dr. Miller studied the data and smiled. No. They're ships from the outer Council worlds, the ones who didn't know what the Inner Circle was doing. She looked up. They're coming to stop Zorvan, not to help him. Across the galaxy, the old order was crumbling. The Council that had ruled through fear and deception for millennia faced something entirely new, accountability, and humanity stood firm, ready to help build something better from the ruins. 1 month after the confrontation at Jupiter, representatives from 23 Council species gathered in Earth's newly constructed Galactic Assembly Hall. The massive room buzzed with different languages as translators worked to keep conversations flowing. Ambassador Kevin Wright stood at the central podium, surveying the diverse gathering. Some delegates had multiple eyes, others breathed through gills, and a few floated in special tanks filled with their native atmospheres. Yet despite their physical differences, all shared a common purpose. We gather today not as conquerors or the conquered, Ambassador Wright began, but as equals seeking a better path forward. In the front row sat Dr. Patricia Miller, taking notes as various species interacted. The xenosociologist had never dreamed she would witness such a historic moment. The old Council ruled through fear and secrecy, Wright continued. The new alliance will be built on transparency and cooperation. No species should fear extinction simply because they develop in ways others find unpredictable. From a side entrance, Arch-Speaker Zorvan was led in by security officers. The once proud Cerulean looked diminished, his shimmering blue skin dull with stress. The former leadership of the Council will face justice for their actions, Wright said as Zorvan took a seat in the defendants area. Not human justice alone, but the combined judgment of all affected species. Captain Samantha Wright watched her father with pride from her position near the Earth security team. The Horizon had become something of a legend among both human and alien crews. Ships from former Council worlds now requested joint training exercises with human vessels, eager to learn the adaptability that had helped Earth survive. In orbit above, Lieutenant Martinez supervised the deactivation of the Frost Protocol platforms. Most were being converted to serve as communication relays for the new interstellar network. Careful with the power cycling, she instructed her mixed team of human and alien engineers. We want to preserve the technology for study. A tall, insectoid alien named Krillvex chittered in agreement. Your platforms are fascinating. On my world, we would never have thought to use quantum fields in this manner. Martinez smiled. That's exactly why the old Council feared us. We look at technology and see possibilities they never imagined. Back in the assembly hall, Dr. Foster presented findings from the ancient archives. These records show that the Council has suppressed technological innovation for over 12,000 years. Species that developed along unapproved paths were eliminated, their achievements erased from history. Murmurs of anger and dismay spread through the audience. But that stops today, Foster continued. We propose a new galactic research exchange. All member worlds will share knowledge freely, with safeguards only for truly dangerous technologies. The delegates burst into applause. Even some former Council supporters nodded in approval. Admiral Hayes stood next to General Campbell at the back of the hall, watching the proceedings with satisfaction. Did you ever think we'd end up here? Campbell asked quietly. When we first got that warning, I thought we were finished. Hayes shook his head. I knew we had a chance. Humans don't respond well to threats. A frosty response indeed, Campbell said with a smile. As the formal proceedings concluded, Ambassador Wright invited the delegates to mingle. Humans and aliens cautiously began to interact, sharing stories, and forming the first tentative bonds of friendship. Dr. Miller approached a group of younger aliens who were examining human cultural displays. "Your music is fascinating," said a crystalline being whose body refracted light in rainbow patterns. "The mathematics behind it are similar to our own, yet the emotional content is so different. Perhaps we could arrange a joint concert," Miller suggested, "a celebration of our new beginning." Outside the assembly hall, workers were installing a monument, a simple stone pillar with names etched into its surface. The names belonged to civilizations that had been destroyed by the old council, species that would never see this new era of cooperation. Captain Wright stopped to read the names as she left the building. A quiet voice spoke beside her. "We will not forget them." She turned to see a council member, one who had helped expose Zorvan's actions. "No," Samantha agreed. "Their memory will guide us to build something better." As the sun set over the assembly hall, ships from a dozen worlds hovered in Earth's sky, not as conquerors or invaders, but as guests and allies. The stars no longer held just mystery and danger, but the promise of friendship and discovery. Humanity had faced extinction, and instead found its place in a larger community. The final warning had become a first greeting.